Oh, welcome everybody to another episode of Rewind the Times and No Leftovers. I had to say that part myself because my son's not here tonight. Tonight's Friday night. I got about 2 hours before I go to work, so I got about a half hour to spare. As you guys as most people know, me and Colson, this is our favorite time of the year. We love Halloween. We talk about it all the time. Halloween to us is all year long. It's something that we talk about, we think about, we purchase things, watch it all year long. Halloween, either horror movies or horror toys or horror shirts, like one I have on today from Freight Rags. We just love this time of the year. To me, this is like Halloween and horror movies in October. It's like putting on a warm blanket. I love the fall. I don't know if I said this before in my videos. I probably have, but I love the fall. I love from September to December, and the reason I love it is because my birthday's in September, and then October is the granddaddy of them all, which is Halloween, and then you have Thanksgiving in November, and you have Christmas in December, and then the year starts over again. I'm not a big fan of the summer. Never have. I don't know if I ever will be. I work third shift. I'm a night owl. I love the nighttime. I love the quietness, the darkness. I don't know what it is. It's just something about it makes me it warms my heart. Like I said, it's like putting on a blanket. It's like putting on a nice big comfy sweatshirt. So as I'm talking to you guys, I'm gonna turn the camera around real quick. Oh no, actually no. You know what? I don't know if I can, but real quick, I am watching Halloween 2, which is my favorite in the series. I love Halloween 2. Halloween 2 has always been my favorite in the whole Halloween series. So what I want to do is I wanted to come on here and I want to talk about my personal memories from Halloween, growing up as a child. How Halloween has changed over the years from being a child to an adult, and how obviously having a son is like it's like being reborn again in a sense. You know, my earliest memories, I should say, are when I was about 8, 9 years old, going to school, dressing up in elementary school, wearing your costume to school because your teacher and your fellow students would give you candy and stuff. And if anyone remembers the old Collegeville and Cooper masks, the costumes with the rubber band around your head, that would hurt so much by the end of the night, and the one-piece suits that you'd put on that if you fell off the curb, you'd tear it. You'd instantly tear it, a big tear in it. That was a big thing growing up. I'm 45 years old, so in the 80s, that was a big thing growing up. I can remember being I gotta think about my costumes now. I can remember being Jaws, where I'd have it was like a Shark's costume. Remember all these costumes are one pieces, and then the mask would be like a big shark mask. I'm pretty sure I was He-Man one year, RoboCop, one of the characters from GI Joe. I can't remember which one, but I don't really remember all the characters from GI Joe. From He-Man, I'm pretty sure I was He-Man himself. One of my biggest things is when I was young. We have a store down here called Apex. I don't know if it's even open anymore, but Apex used to have this giant Halloween section. And when I was young, it makes me laugh because I love how much I love Halloween now compared to when I was a kid. Whenever we'd go to, I'm sorry, not Apex, Ann and Hope. I'm sorry, Ann and Hope. Whenever we'd go in Ann and Hope, I would be petrified to go down the Halloween aisle. Just walking down the aisle would scare the crap out of me because I can still visual it to this day. When you walk into Ann and Hope, the registers were all in the front, and the Halloween section was to the left. So the registers were in the front, and the Halloween section was to the left. And they used to have the costumes hanging from the ceiling down, and the ceiling was really high. Ann and Hope's ceiling was super high, man. So on these cords or on these ropes, they'd have all these costumes hanging, and they'd have scary costumes. And the one that always sticks out to me, I'll never forget it. It's ingrained into my head. It's carved in fear inside me. It's a gorilla costume, and this gorilla costume was so giant. Well, at least it looked giant because I was so young, and obviously walking down the aisle and seeing all the costumes, you look up and you just seen, it looked like a three-piece costume where you put your body into it, zip it up, and then you put the hands on and then the head over. So I'd say now it'd probably be a three-piece costume, and it just looks so giant and so big hanging, mixed in with other costumes, from the ceiling. And I was petrified. I mean, I was so petrified, and my mom would be like, "Michael, go down there, go pick your costume." Like my mother, like, "Hi, Michael, you gotta get over this fear. It's just a costume." And I remember one time closing my eyes and walking down that aisle, not closing my eyes, but kind of like squinting a little bit and walking down that aisle as fast as I could, just to say, "Yep, Mom, I went down the aisle. Okay, Mama, come with me to pick up my costume now." And she's like, "No, Michael, you gotta go, you gotta go down that aisle by yourself." And I was so scared to go down that aisle. Eventually, I did go down that aisle, and I believe I picked out I believe I picked out a Garfield costume, and it was probably a a Collegeville, or a Cooper, Cooper costume with the rubber band. But I was so petrified of going down there, and I every time I drive by the building in Hope, which it's been such a long time, I can't even tell you because I'm pretty sure the building's still up where I live. I think it might even be in Hope. It might be just a rug store now because it used to be like a Kmart, one of those type of places, and it scared the crap out of me. It just scared the crap out of me, and just a great memory. A great memory. Another great memory I have is going to my Auntie Debbie's house, which is my mom's sister. And that's where Halloween was a big part of my life. We'd always go to my aunt's house a couple of hours before ahead of time because we'd have dinner, watch an episode or two of Punky Brewster, and then we'd get in our costumes and then we'd go trick or treating. And I remember one year, we thought it'd be pretty cool if all of us dressed up, because at my cousin's house there's me, my brother Matthew, who's about 6 or 7 years younger than me. 6 years younger than me. And then we would have my cousin Debbie, who's the same age as me. This is on my aunt's side. And then everybody in my family has three. So it'd be like me, my sister, and my brother. There's three. Then I have two more uncles and one more aunt, and everybody has three children. So it's pretty cool. They're all about the same age. Like me and my cousin Debbie are the same age. And then there's Christian and there's Kerry, and we all dressed up as Smurfs. And I'll never forget, that was like the big deal that year. And I was Papa Smurf, and because I was the only boy in the group, and all the other girls in the group were all Smurfette, because she's the only girl Smurf, I believe, in the whole thing. And I'll never forget, we got to my aunt's house, and like I said, we'd always go a couple hours early because we'd have dinner, and then we kind of like relax, get into our costumes, and then walk. My aunt lives at the end. My aunt lives at the beginning of a cul-de-sac. It's like a giant cul-de-sac. She still lives there to this day. Matter of fact, up to about 5 years ago, I was still going there. Until I moved over here in Cranston and stuff, and got a house. Now I do it here. Or I'd go up to Leanne's house, up in Billerica, or I give out candy and stuff like that. But anyways, I'll never forget going to my aunt's house. And it was about 2 hours early, and we were watching the episode. If anybody's ever watched the episode of Punky Brewster, where they go into the cave with Mr. Body, and Cherry, her eyes, she's like a demon, and Alan's mouth is stuck inside the rock, and he's doing all this weird thing on his face, and the dog is like a bag of bones, and I mean, oh man, that was one of the scariest episodes of all time, and one of me and my cousin Debbie's favorite episodes together. And me and my cousin Debbie, she's like, so I have two cousins, and this is, I'm sorry, I have more than two cousins. I have two favorite cousins, and it's not to say that I don't love my cousins. That's not what I mean. What it means is just because of the age group. So my cousin Deborah, she's like my favorite girl cousin, and then my cousin Jared is my favorite boy cousin, and it's not knocking my other cousins. It's just that they were around my age. We're the same age, so I kind of like whenever I did things with my family, I always gravitated towards them because they're the same age as me. Like me and my cousin Debbie we'd always collect Garbage Pail Kids, which I still to this day still have Garbage Pail Kids. I still have them from when I was from 1984, 1985. I still have my cards. Matter of fact, if you go on my channel and rewind the times, one of the first videos of this channel is my Garbage Pail Kid collection, and I've actually collected more since then. So, but anyways, so me and my cousin, I remember we were sitting there, we were eating meatball sandwiches with pasta. My auntie always made these delicious pasta. She always cooked the meatballs on the side, and she put pieces of linguiça inside of it. Just so good. Linguiça is like a type of sausage, I think. And so we have like meatball grinders as we eat meatballs and pasta, and we'd be watching that episode. I believe it's a 2-part episode of Punky Brewster, and then we'd get dressed and we'd go trick or treating. My uncle Frankie, who's like if I could just be half of the man that man is, because my dad passed away when I was really young. I was 5 when my dad passed away, so I really don't know my dad as well. My uncle Frankie's like a big child. He to this day still decorates the house. He gets into it because all his kids are all grown up, and he just loves it. And I absolutely love my uncle Frankie. He's such a hot shit. But anyways, so we all dressed up. We're all sitting around. We're all getting into our costumes. We're all putting on our Coolsville or Cooper costumes. They're Smurfette. I'm Papa Smurf, and we walk down the steps of my aunt's house. And I must have missed a step. I must have, we're all excited. I missed a step, and I remember falling backwards so like I'm still talking about memories. My head hit the back of the ground. My head hit the ground, and I had this giant egg. If anyone doesn't know what that is, it's when you get hit in the head real hard, and you have like these lumps on your head. I mean, it sucks. I've actually gotten one playing football before. But anyways, I fell off a step. I missed a step. I was so excited to go out trick or treating, and I fell backwards and landed on right in the middle of the back of my head, and a lump instantly formed. And unfortunately for me, the rubber band that was around my mask, well, I couldn't. The only way I could stay on my head is if I kept it on the elastic in the middle of my head, and all night it sat on top of this egg on my head, and it hurt so bad. It made Halloween miserable for me. So I go to my house, put the mask on, trick or treat, and then take it off, and because I could not keep it on my head. And I'm one of those people that I go all in on my costume. To this day, I still do. Matter of fact, when I got my costume last year, I was Jason Voorhees, part 2. Colston was part 4. And my oldest was part 5. I get Colston every other year, so I will not have Colston this year, unfortunately. But we did do a trunk or treat with Colston and Caden, Leanne's son, and Colston was Jason from the Friday the 13th, the video game, which was awesome. I posted some pictures up. So anyways, it made trick-or-treating miserable, literally miserable all night, and I had this giant egg in the back of my head, and oh man, so I go up to houses and I would have to take the mask, I put the mask on, trick-or-treat, take it off, and it was just a really, really bad time. And I remember another memory that I always remember is this one year we were living in Pawtucket, 128 Dewey Avenue. I love that. I love how I'm talking, and I got Halloween 2 in the back. Like this is like besides going to the gym every other day, guys, and playing Madden and football. This is kind of like how I live my life. I love watching horror movies. I collect horror figures. I don't know. I'm just a big kid inside. I take care of my business, obviously, but I'm a big kid also. So, anyways, it must have been, I want to say, Mortal Kombat came out in what, 92? So it must have been the Christmas. I'm sorry, Christmas. It must have been the Halloween of 92 or the Halloween of 93, because I believe Mortal Kombat came out in 1992. for some reason 95 popping in my head, but there's no way I was 15. I wasn't at 15. I was living in Johnson at the age of 15. So anyways, I wanted to be Sub-Zero. Me, all my friends, we were obsessed with, well, it was 92. I was obsessed with Mortal Kombat when it first came out. I'll never forget where I was the first time I ever seen this game. I was at a pizza place on Middle Spring Avenue in North Providence. Me and my stepfather Joe, we went to go pick up a pizza. We had a pizza made for us. We were gonna bring it back home. And I remember as I was sitting down, my stepfather's putting in the order to get the pizza, and in the corner of the pizza place, I hear this "Hoo-yah, hoo-yah, finish him, round one, fight," all the Mortal Kombat sayings. And I look up, and there was these two kids playing, and I was just mesmerized by the game, like absolutely mesmerized by this arcade game. Just a real quick side note. I miss the way things were back in the day, obviously. But especially when it came to video games, because a lot of nowadays games go right to consoles, which I still like. But if anyone my age or a little bit younger can remember, arcades was a big deal in the 80s, and even up into the mid 90s, maybe even the millennium, 2000s. But I can't really remember that much. But I remember in the 80s and the 90s, arcades were a big deal. You would play a video game in the arcade, and if it did really, really good, then it would come on a console. So you kind of had like that excitement, that pre-excitement. You go to the arcade, you play the video game, and then all of a sudden you had to wait for it to come on your Nintendo or your Super Nintendo or your Sega Genesis or your Sega CD or whatever system you had at the time. I missed that. I really missed that feeling. WrestleFest. TMT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, The Simpsons. So many great arcade games that I would go to the arcade to go play, then wait for it to come on my, Super Mario Bros. 3, wait to come onto the console. They just don't do that no more. I miss that excitement. I really do. I miss that excitement. But anyways, I'm sitting there watching these two kids play Mortal Kombat. So I go up to my stepfather Joe, and I said, "Hey Joe," I said, give me a quarter or so. I want to play this game while we're waiting for our pizza to be made." So he threw me like 75 cents. And if anyone remembers back in the day when you have next in an arcade game, you put your quarter on the screen at the bottom, on the bottom of the screen, not in the way, but kind of in the corner. And that meant you had next game. So I put my quarter up there. And this Chinese kid and this black kid were playing. And this Chinese kid was just, man, he was good. He was kicking this kid's ass. So, anyways, I put my quarter on the screen, and the Chinese kid he ended up beating the black kid, and he just didn't want to play no more. So I kind of had like a free gameplay, and I'll never forget the first character I ever chose was Sub-Zero, just because the color blue looked cool. It was ice, because I was watching the kid play. So, anyways, I get on the game. I had no clue what the hell I was doing. I got my ass kicked, or maybe I went around. I can't remember. But all I know is I went through that 75 cents and that free gameplay that kid left me real fast, and I was just like mesmerized by this game. And I remember telling my two buddies, Michael and John Antunes, guys, this game is just incredible. Didn't know it had finishing moves. Didn't know it had any of the fatalities. Didn't know it had any of that type of things. But I remember I fought Liu Kang on the pit, and the game did the fatality where he does like a roundhouse kick, and then he does like an uppercut, and it knocks you into the pit. And I'm just sitting there like, what just happened? Like, there was blood in the video game. I was mesmerized. And I remember going to DJ's Arcade and the Lincoln Dream Machine. Anyone from Rhode Island will remember that, the Dream Machine up at the Lincoln Mall. And I played the game, and I would, man, just played as much as I could. But anyways, I fell in love with Sub-Zero. So for Christmas, they didn't have any Mortal Kombat costumes, and me and my buddies, we were gonna go out as Mortal Kombat characters that year. So what we had to do, we had to make homemade characters, homemade costumes. And I literally made a homemade Sub-Zero costume. I think it came out pretty good, for a 12 for a 12, 13-year-old, it probably wasn't. But I remember my mom gave me some white shirts, and I had I had black sweatpants for like the karate pants, and I had like a white shirt that I cut to make it look like it had straps, and I colored it with a blue crayon, and I cut it, and I put it over another white shirt. So so it looked like if you guys ever seen the gis that they wear in karate, it looked like I had the blue. It was basically a cut up T-shirt on top of another white T-shirt, and I thought I had the mask. I'll never forget how I did the mask because this, remember this is a homemade costume. Anyone that remembers, you ever like go shovel snow out on a very very cold day? You wear like a complete face mask, and it covers like up to here. Well, the one I had didn't cover it didn't cover right here. It covered the whole face, but it didn't have a piece to cover here. So a piece of the shirt that I cut off of the costume, I put it here and I stapled it. I stapled it around here, so it looked like I had, like I had the mask, and then this part would be covered, and you could see my eyes like like a karate fighter, and I stapled it. And the staples were like kind of like pricking my face all night while I was trick or treating. Well, anyways, I went out as Sub-Zero, and I actually made my brother's costume that year. I believe he was Scorpion. So I took the time, made my brother's, and then no, I'm sorry, I think he was Reptile. I think he was Reptile, and I did mine, which was Sub-Zero. We went trick or treating. But what sucked is it was awesome. The night started off really cool. We walk outside. My sister was so young at the time. I think she was like 5, and for some reason I don't remember her dressing up. But I remember my brother dressing up, and I remember my sister being in a like a cart that you push a child and you push a baby in. Even though she wasn't a baby, she was like 4 or 5. Because my sister was born in 88 or 89. So anyway, so she had to be about 3 or 4. Anyways, my mom's pushing her around, and my brother's walking next to me, and all of a sudden, we walk out of the house, we go next door to Bob. Bob always reminded me of Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. Howdy do, neighbor. He had that look. He really did have that look. Well, anyways, so we go to Bob's house, we get candy. We're just about to go to the next house, and all of a sudden it starts to rain. And I mean, it starts to pour. Rain is just coming down hard, and I'm literally watching my costume just disintegrate, and all the color from the crayons leaking out of it, and it really sucked. It really sucked. So we went home, and my mom saved all the Halloween costumes that we used to buy over the years. And I can't remember what I threw on, but I threw on another costume. My brother did too. And we went up and down the street. My mom didn't come with us because it was raining out, so I took my brother. It was just me and my brother. I was 12 years old. Different times, different times back then. I think I just went up the street, all the way up Dewey Avenue, which was a pretty far street to walk up. Once I went to the top, I walked up the right side, and when I got to the very, very, very top of the street, turned around and walked down the right side. I mean, walked down the left side. It'd be the right side. So I walked up the right, came down the left. You know what I mean. And that was it. And my whole trick or treating night went by really fast because it was raining out. Which I love rain. And honestly, if I was older, I wouldn't have cared. But my mom, she wanted us to come home real quick. So that's one year, and another fond memory. Like I said, this is gonna be a long video, guys. A little bit longer video. Another fond memory is I went out one year, and I was Pac-Man, and I don't remember where we bought this costume at, but I was literally a Pac-Man. Like, I put it over me. The costume was like it wasn't plastic. It was like a felt kind of feel, like a felt kind of costume. And I remember it was pouring out that year. And nowadays, I think if it rains out, nowadays, I don't know I can't remember back then, but I remember nowadays, if it rains, I think they just have Halloween the next night. Well, it was another Halloween. It was pouring down, and I was old enough now to go by myself. My mom didn't care. I was 15 years old. So anyways, it was pouring. I mean, coming down in just sheets. And us kids, man, that's our. We want to go trick or treating, man. We want to go trick or treating. That's our night. We wait all night for that year. I'll never forget Patrick Harrington, which is such a good kid, man. He was a good friend of mine when I was young. I hear, hey, Pat Nord, because everybody calls me by my last name. People still call me by my last name. The friends that I had, the few friends I have, because we all know, guys, growing up, you kind of separate from your friends a little bit, and you have more acquaintances than friends. And my friends used to always call me Pat Nord. And hey, Pat Nord, what the hell are you wearing? And I look up, and it was Pat. And Pat was dressed as a hobo. And I'll never forget, because I met up with him. We didn't mean to go trick or treating. I was just going up the street to continue my trick or treating because it started raining on it. And Pat, hey Pat, what the hell are you wearing? What are you? And you could see I was Pac-Man. And I remember looking at him and I was like, Pat, I was like, what the hell? What are you wearing? And he looked really cool. He did. He had like an old person's suit, like a jacket on, pants on, a tie, a hat. His face was kind of like gruffy. And I'm like, Pat, what are you? Like, what are you dressed up as, your grandpa or something? And he's like, no, I'm a hobo. I'm like, a hobo? And he's like, yeah, my dad let me use one of his suits, and Pat looked awesome, dude. The suit that he had on, I'll never forget. It was like a multicolored suit, very 80ish look, where it had like red and blue and like orange in it. I'm trying to visualize it. And it had a very old looking suit where his dad probably wore this in the 80s and probably just kept the suit. And that's why he let Pat wear it while it was Halloween night. And me and Pat, we went trick or treating that night together. We didn't mean to. We just met up. We just happened to find each other. And we went trick or treating. Now, back when I was young, trick or treating was a mission. And anyone that is from my era remembers, man, when you went trick or treating and not your bag, when your pillowcase got full, you went home and dumped that pillowcase out. And what did you do? You went back out for another 2 hours. Man, I'd go trick or treating for like 3 hours, from like 6 o'clock till 9, 7 to 9:30, 7 to 10, whatever it was, man. I would go, and then we trooped it out. And one of the best parts about trick or treating too is, as I got older, a little bit older, like 15, 16, when you found out the houses that had the king size candy bars, you bring like an extra mask with you. And so you'd go in your original costume and then, go down the street, switch your mask, and then go back again to get that extra size candy bar. And tell me who hasn't done that? Who hasn't done that? Because I think we've all done that as children. And I'll never forget, living in Pawtucket, there was a section on the railroad, on the opposite side of the railroad tracks, near Prospect Heights. It was a really nice neighborhood. And those houses would give away the giant candy bars. Kind of where my friends Summer and Chris Vanover lived. God, I miss them. Hope Summer is married now. Hope you're doing good, Summer. You have beautiful children, man. Very well disciplined. Hope John's doing good, and Chris, your mother, if you see this video. Well, anyways, where she lived, they were giving out giant-sized candy bars, and I remember like changing like my costume and just the face mask so I can get like another king-size candy bar. Man, we trooped it, man. We went out for hours, and just a blast, man. The memories were just so great. It also felt like everybody. It also felt like everybody was giving out candy. Because the rule is if your house lights on, then you can go up to it and they're giving candy. If the house light's not on, then you respect the house and you don't go to it. And it really felt like everybody was giving out candy. And nowadays, it doesn't really feel like that nowadays. Trick or treating nowadays, it sucks because my son is such an old fashioned type of child. He would have loved trick or treating in the 80s and the 90s. It just seems like not a lot of people give out candy nowadays. Which is very unfortunate because people talk about, I'm a Christian, but people talk about, the devil and all that other stuff. And listen, I respect everybody. I respect people's opinions and what they're saying. Me personally, Halloween it's about candy and fun and having a good time and dressing up and, just being just being a big kid, really. You know, just really being a big kid. So I understand the other things that people talk about, and but I don't really I don't look at it like that. I look about having fun, dressing up, having a good time, trick or treating, scary monsters, candy, having a great time. I don't look at other aspect of it, I guess. So, but yeah, it just feels like a lot of kids nowadays are not giving out candy, which kind of sucks. So. Hey guys, those are a couple of my memories. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna lay down before I get to work tonight. Why don't you guys share some of your memories, man? Talk about what are you waiting for? What are you looking forward to most most this Halloween? And it's funny how it changes from being a kid to an adult because when I was a kid, loved going out trick or treating, loved it, absolutely loved going house to house. And now as an adult, I love passing out candy. And now I decorate. And now I decorate. I decorate the house, and which is awesome. So the child in me has never died. He's just getting old. He just got a little bit older, and I will give out candy probably to the day I die, and I love it. And I love seeing the kids dressed up, and I just love decorating the house, and So this is the first real year I could really do it. So I'm really really excited. Hey guys, why don't you share some of your memories? Hope everybody has a blessed night. Remember God first and family. And as Colston would say if he was here, like and subscribe. Take care, guys. Peace.